Hey everybody, it's Rico here, or Rico, whatever, however you pronounce it. Just don't say Rico. That's actually wrong. Um, I normally when I do an update like this, I make a paste bin, and then I put it on Twitter. I'm decided to do a video this time because there's a lot that's going on in my mind right now, and it's a lot to unpack. So I feel like a video might convey it a little better. I might go off on a bunch of different tangents just because, like I said, there's a lot that's going on in my head right now. But yeah, so AGDQ. That's the first thing. I didn't get in. Blunts Moses got in with Crash 2 NST 100%. I'm not mad at him. I'm really happy he got on. Blunts is probably the best active Crash 2 NST runner right now. I say active because Stewart hasn't really been doing anything since he got his Hundo PB. So like Blunts is the only person who's like really actively pushing Crash 2 NST, and he's doing an amazing job of it. So I fully think he deserved to get in. It's me failing to get in is a lot of it's my fault because I didn't submit Hundo. I was going to, and then I just got lazy and was confident that they would take any percent, and it turns out I was wrong. But yeah. So I know a lot of people say that, oh, it's just GDQ. It doesn't matter. GDQ does a lot of like really questionable and stupid things. Like other marathons are better. GDQ doesn't matter that they do this, they do that, this or that. GDQ matters a lot to me, especially AGDQ. It means the world to me. Um, I've mentioned this many times on stream. I've mentioned it on Twitter. I mentioned it in past pace spins, but I don't really upload things to YouTube except for like runs that I've recorded, just so they're somewhere besides Twitch. So for those who follow this YouTube channel but don't follow me anywhere else, the reason AGDQ matters so much to me is because a little over 2 years ago, uh, this was like around the time I started to get like seriously get into speedrunning. My dad passed away because of cancer. Um, and before that, I did like casual speedrunning. Like I learned Crash 2 in like 2015. Did it casually for about a year, and then around that summer 2016 when he passed was when I started getting really seriously into it. And then later in the year was when I started like going hard on it. Um, and before that, AGDQ was just like some cool thing that I like to watch and maybe someday attend, but I never wanted to like be in it. But when that happened, it really made me want to be part of AGDQ because AGDQ, the charity it donates to, specifically AGDQ, this is why I don't really care about submitting to SGDQ. AGDQ, the profits from it go to the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So, to me, the opportunity to do one of my favorite hobbies, which is speedrunning, and also support a cause that means so much to me, because not only did cancer take my dad, it took my uncle. We recently found out that my sister has it. Um, there's a possibility in the future that I might have it. The condition that my dad, my uncle, and my sister all have or had that ended up giving them the cancer is called multiple endocrine neoplasia, or MEN. It is a genetic thing that gets passed down. So there is a possibility that I have it. So to be able to fight that and find more ways to prevent or cure cancer by doing something I really love, which is playing video games and speedrunning, means a fucking lot to me. Like, so And I know that like that's not a connection that a lot of other people have, which is why they probably don't see GDQ in such high regard. But to me, it means a lot. So to see that I didn't get in, not only just on the merits of Blunts being like a really good runner, but also my own failure to submit more than one category. Because I feel like if I had submitted Hundo, I would have had a pretty good chance of getting in. Because until last night, like until recently, I was like at in like the top two of that category. It was only like Stu was like a couple seconds ahead of me, and then Blunts took the record a few nights ago. I feel like if I had submitted Hundo, I would have had a really good chance of getting in, and that's a failure on my part, and I can't undo that. It's my fault that I didn't get into something I care a lot about. But yeah, like I'm really happy for Blunts, but I am also really sad that I've submitted to like 3 GDQs now, because I submitted to like the Harvey Relief one, and I submitted to last year's AGDQ, and I submitted to this year's AGDQ, and I failed to get into all 3 of them. And it's something I really care about. So like that really hurt. But I'm happy for Blunts. I don't hold this against him. I know he'll do well. But yeah, so moving on from that, like speedrunning in general, I don't want this to sound like I'm salty that I didn't get in, and that I'm angry, and that I'm just done. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. Because honestly, if I had gotten an AGDQ, I probably would have made this video like in January after the event. I don't want to say I'm quitting speedrunning, because I'm not. Like, I do really enjoy speedrunning, and like I love it. It's really fun, but I'm getting really burnt out by it. I'm getting extremely burnt out by it. You can see it whenever you watch me stream. Like, I get really frustrated. My PC is like old, so it can't handle me playing NST or A Hat in Time, which are like 2 of the games I have the most fun speedrunning, and I can't reliably do them just because my computer hates it. I get really frustrated at Crash 2, like the original one on PS1, because the game is so old that it just cannot handle all the inputs you do for speedrunning. So I get really frustrated because I lose runs just because the game doesn't function properly. I get frustrated at Spyro just because, like, as fun as it is, I'm just really not that great at it, and like I can feel myself improving, but every time, like, every little mistake that adds up, it just frustrates me, and I get so frustrated when I do runs. And like, I feel like I don't want to quit, but on top of all that frustration, there's also a lot of other things I've wanted to do that I can't, or that I don't have time to, because I spend so much time speedrunning. Like, I've had ideas for like videos I want to make that aren't like speedrunning related. There might be like gaming related. Like, one thing that's always fascinated me are like top 10 lists, you know, like Screw Attack's top 10s, or whatever the top 10s that Cat Icarus does, and like just like comparing things in gaming that I'm really like passionate about, and I don't get to do that. And like, I've also considered it with Yu-Gi-Oh on my other channel, and like I don't get to do it because a lot of my time is devoted to speedrunning. Or, you know, I like playing games casually, but I don't really have a lot of time to, because I speedrun so much. Like, I have a huge backlog of games that I've been meaning to play that I just haven't, because I haven't had time. And it's like, I also feel like there's this kind of stigma where, like, if I play a game, I automatically want to speedrun it. Like, when I picked up, like, before Spider-Man came out, I adore Spider-Man on PS4. It's one of my favorite games ever made. It was fantastic. I enjoyed just going through it casually and playing the story mode and picking up a few of the side things. But, like, very quickly, people were like, oh, are you going to speedrun this? No, I just want to play it casually. And then, like, I also see it with, like, Kingdom Hearts. I've been playing a lot of Kingdom Hearts recently also, and people are like, oh, do you want to learn how to play Kingdom Hearts? No, I just want to play it casually. Like, I like playing games casually. I like playing games. That's, like, the biggest thing. That's what I'm passionate about. It's not specifically speedrunning. I just like playing games and enjoying myself and making other people happy by watching and getting entertained by me playing them. That's why I stream. Like, if I'm making other people happy, that means I'm doing my job. But since I devote so much time to speedrunning, and it eats up the time I want to do other things, and then I get frustrated because things aren't going right, because speedrunning is very fickle like that. It feels like I get very unhappy a lot of the time when I stream, and I feel like when I'm not happy, people who are watching me aren't going to be happy. I mean, if they're sadistic and they just really like seeing me mad, then I guess they're happy, but uh, I feel like more often than not, people would rather see me be happy. And, like, I don't know, like, there's a lot of ideas I wanted to do for, like, videos. I wanted to do, like, a ranking of the Crash Bandicoot games, like, all of them. I've wanted to do a video series of my top 20 favorite games of all time. But I actually was going to do that back in February, and then I just kept putting it off, and then it eventually just went nowhere. I wanted to do, like, I guess Let's Plays, although I'd probably just, like, stream the game and then put the stream highlights on YouTube, or just, like, put the recording on YouTube. Like, and then I was doing a randomizer playthrough of Pokemon Fire Red. I want to do more randomizers of the Pokemon games because that's really fun. And then there's just a bunch of other casual games that I own and haven't played, like Octopath Traveler, Bayonetta, Medieval, Croc 2. I mean, I've played that before. Attacking the Power of Juju. Like, there's so many things I want to do that I just don't have time to because I speedrun. And, like, I don't want to quit. I'm not going to quit. There will always be a time where I'm just like, hey, let's do a speedrun. But I don't want to feel like I'm obligated to do speedruns because that's how I feel a lot of the time. So I'm either going to, like, slow down a lot on speedrunning. Like, I said at the beginning of the year, like at the end of last year, that I was going to slow down on speedrunning. And for a while I did. I took a break for a couple months so I could find a new job and move out. But then after that I went, like, really hard back on speedrunning because at the time, all 3 of the Crash 2 NST records were held by somebody who deleted their videos. So none of the world records had videos. So I was the only other person active in NST2 at the time because the PC version wasn't out yet. So I felt obligated to, like, push myself hard enough to get record in all 3 of them. And I did that, and then, like, I just kept doing more runs, and then I kept getting frustrated again. So I really think I'm going to slow down a lot, or maybe take, like, a really big break from speedrunning and just try and do other things, like play things casually, work on some videos I might want to do. The other thing that is really, like, kind of turned me off on speedrunning right now, at least speedrunning Crash games, and this is a discussion I've had with some of my friends online, is it's really not that great to have a world record in a Crash game. Because, like, you always hear these stories of how the Crash community is super toxic. I don't entirely agree with that. I think there is plenty of good in the Crash community. The problem is that the Crash community is super, like, segmented. You got the people who run Crash 1, and then you got the people who run Crash 2 and Crash 3, and then you have the people who run, I mean, like, 2 and 3 are separate. You have the CTR, you have Twinsanity, you have NST. Like, it's all separated. But, like, the overall Crash community tries to merge together, and I really think it just doesn't work. Because there's just so many different types of people, and there's some people who are complete, like, shitheads. Like, there are. Like, I don't think the Crash community as a whole, like, it's really hard to explain. Like, I feel like there are really good people in the Crash community that I'm great friends with. But then there are people who, like, I feel like their only reason to be there is to be completely unpleasant for the hell of it. And they think they're being mature and just, like facing the facts and stuff, and they're like, no, you're just being a fucking asshole. And the thing with having a record in a Crash game, or at least in the ones that I've played, is, like, I feel like as much as they advocate for we're just trying to optimize the game, I feel like it's also a bit of a dick measuring contest where, like, you have to be the best or you don't matter. Like, I get that vibe, even if it's never, like, outwardly said. And, like, I've always felt that since I've been at the top of Crash 2 NST, is like I feel like when I'm number one, instead of like people looking up to it, people have instead painted a target on my back. And like I know, like I talked to Ted about this, and he felt the same way when he got the Crash 100 record. And like, this isn't everybody in the community. There are people who are genuinely happy when their friends get records. Like, we were really happy when White Paws got the Crash 180% record. We were happy when Burger got 105 and like things like that. But like, to the general masses, a lot of the time it just feels like they just want to see you fall, and it's really stressful just being at the top of that. And like, I don't know, like I guess that's probably a thing in like every community, but I feel like it's just super prominent in Crash. I don't know why. I feel like the community would do a lot better if it just separated into those segmented communities like per game, because I kind of feel like it's like the Smash community where they're all lumped into this like label of the Smash community, but in reality, Melee is not the same as Brawl. It's not the same as Smash 4. It's not the same as Ultimate, and it's not the same as 64. They're all different games, but like they all get lumped into together as the Smash community when they're really not the same thing. There's very little overlap between like Melee and the other games. So like, I don't know. I think that's a huge contributor to a lot of the stress I have in speedrunning, and just like the general attitudes of a lot of people in the community. Like, I made a tweet like calling out people in the community for thinking it was a problem to tell someone GG when they post their PB in the server, because apparently that's spamming up and getting in the way of real discussion, which isn't actually true. And then like, but you know, you can say like really insulting things and slurs, and everybody's just like, funny jokes, and it's just like, I called them out and people got mad, and I was like, good, y'all are fucking idiots. So I don't know. I guess there's some atmosphere of it that I guess I just don't really like, and that kind of adds to my stress of everything. So yeah. And then my like IRL, like real life situation is a little stressful as well. I'm not gonna get too much into that. That's not really the concern of this video, but I do kind of struggle a little bit. Like, I feel like I haven't actually been diagnosed or like gone to a therapist or anything, but I suspect that I might have some form of depression, because I just have like really high, I have like high highs, but I have like really low lows. And like, I don't know, like it might be a thing, but that's not something that needs to be gone too in depth about here. For anybody who's worried if I'm like suicidal or anything, I'm not. Don't worry about that. I do really value my own life, and I would hopefully never fall to that level. But yeah, so shit, this is a long video. It's already been 18 and a half minutes. I think that's really all I had to say. Like, the basic recap is that, like, really bummed I didn't get an AGDQ. It's not the reason I made this video. It was the reason that pushed me to make this video, but I feel like if I had gotten into AGDQ, I would have just waited until after AGDQ to make this, because this has been on my mind for a while. But I'm gonna do things besides speedrunning. I'm gonna slow down a lot on it, because it is really stressing me out every time I do a run, and I think I just need to like take a really long break or take it a lot more slowly. I guess I didn't address like streaming in general. Like, I feel like I'm just gonna do it whenever I am available, as opposed to trying to aim for certain days where I stream, because I feel like my personal like life with friends, like IRL friends, is starting to suffer because a lot of my free time goes to streaming, and I think I need to devote more time to things besides that. So my streams might be more sporadic. I'll probably stream later today, but I'm going to try and devote time to other things besides streaming, because I feel like there's not really a balance in my life right now. But I will still stream because I really enjoy it. So whenever I have downtime, I'll just stream a game or like maybe do a run. Depends on how I feel. And then I just had a rant about the Crash community, I guess. Probably distance myself a little bit from that. But yeah. So I guess that's really all I have to say. I'll see if I can eventually start doing other videos. I changed the name of this channel from Rico's Speedruns to Rico KSB just because probably I'm going to start trying to make videos that don't have to do with speedrunning. So like having them labeled under Rico Speedrun doesn't really make sense. It wouldn't make sense to put them on my other channel because that's a Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So people subscribe to that one for Yu-Gi-Oh, and people subscribe to this one for speedrunning or gaming in general. So I figure it would make more sense to put it here. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still stream. I'll still speedrun. It's just not as big of a focus. I'm pretty past the point of wanting to grind for world records. Having them for a while and then seeing other people have them and how people react to other people having them, it really soured my perception of it. I'd rather just play at my own pace, which was my original. Like when I started speedrunning, that was when I was like, I will just go at my own pace and see how I go. And it was NST was where I was like, wow, I'm actually world record tier at this. Granted, it was a new game, but you know, like I just want to go at my own pace. There's other speed games I'd like to try still. Like I'd still like to like get at least decent at Spyro. I'd like to learn Crash Twinsanity, even though it's like hard depending on which category you do. I'm still interested in like Jak and Daxter, and I still want to do a Hat in Time, but I'm gonna like slow it down a bit, essentially. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this. Thank you to anybody who watched this. Yeah, so I'll see you guys on here, on Twitch. If you go to AGDQ, I'll see you there. I'm still going to that. And I'm definitely gonna cheer my man Blunts on. He's gonna do a hell of a job showing Crash 2 Hundo. So yeah. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.